The practice of polygamy is declining around the world, and in fact in countries such as Pakistan it is now looked down upon and restricted, and there are more rights and protection for women. But in the UK it may be on the increase, and often the first wife is unaware their husbands have taken a second wife. Baroness Varsi, to whom we'll be talking in a moment, has accused the government of turning a blind eye to polygamy despite the fact such marriages are illegal in the UK. Soria Samora investigates.
While bigamy is illegal in the UK and punishable by up to 7 years in jail, a number of British Muslims are marrying multiple wives in unregistered religious ceremonies.
I was raised in a polygamous family myself in Sierra Leone, and to be honest, I didn't enjoy that part of my family life.
I will be investigating claims that the government is turning a blind eye, with devastating consequences for some women who find themselves as second wives.
This has got nothing to do with religion. This has got to do with these men out there that are abusing women.
I will also be speaking to people who believe polygamy between consenting adults should be legalized.
I was actively seeking a polygamous relationship because I knew it would suit me.
I'm on my way to meet one woman who's agreed to talk to us. B has asked us to conceal her identity. She's already had to move house twice to escape her ex-husband, and is also afraid of being further stigmatized by her own community.
To me it was going to be the perfect marriage, and I was going to spend the rest of my life with him. And then I found out from a friend, she said, "Do you know that his other wife's pregnant?" And I had no idea.
She later found out that she was one of 3 wives and that her husband had 14 children.
At the time I was pregnant with my son, and she was pregnant with her child. And that really shocked me.
B's Islamic marriage took place in a house and was not registered. It was only during the breakdown of the relationship that she realized that her marriage had no legal status and that a divorce would leave her with no entitlements.
It is so hard because I knew legally I didn't have a leg to stand on. I didn't even know whether I was going to make it the next day. And it's devastating for young children to see their mother go through everything.
Eventually, B made the decision to walk away from her marriage, leaving her penniless and estranged from her own community.
Somehow, when you look at this in the community, it's the woman's fault. She's putting her religion down, she's putting the community down, but this has got nothing to do with religion. This has got to do with these men out there that are abusing women.
How common is this among women that you know, among people that you know?
It's quite common. You go to someone's house, oh, so-and-so's got another wife. It's normal.
B has been brave to talk to us. Almost everyone we have spoken to declined to be interviewed for this film. Mufti Barkatullah is a judge at the Islamic Sharia Council and has become increasingly concerned by the rise he has seen in unregistered polygamous marriages.
I'm surprised that many young Muslims are exercising this option, although to my experience, not balancing the relationship, but doing injustices. The most loser is the wife and the children. The future generation is the loser of those unregistered marriages.
According to
the Quran, a man is allowed up to 4 wives, but only if he can provide for each wife equally in terms of emotional and financial support.
Why would any man want to have 2, 3 or more wives?
The young generation is riding on 2 cultural waves, having to conform to the family values of marrying the parents' choice, and then being born British and being born free to have their own choice. So instead of having girlfriend, they prefer to have a second wife, third wife, whether it works or not.
Mufti Barkatullah and other leading Islamic scholars have become so concerned that they have drawn up a new contract for Muslim marriages, forbidding polygamy and allowing the wife to initiate divorce and retain financial rights.
Why do you think that many mosques in the UK are not registering nikah weddings?
Because they think they are independent authority. So they think the civil registration is something else, and the Sharia, Islamic registration, Islamic marriage performance is something else. So they believe in parallel dual system.
A dual system that leaves second wives in a legal vacuum didn't sound right to me. I decided to track down and confront the imam who B says knowingly conducted her polygamous marriage.
This is the person I'm talking about. And,
No,
look. But how do you feel then?
Sometimes, maybe, sometimes they put me in darkness.
I know you're saying they lied to you, but
I believe.
If this young woman was your daughter, I'm sure you would check the background of the man that she's going to marry to.
I did everything. It is my responsibility. But yet, people say witnesses are there. So, why only I am wrong? Why witnesses are not wrong? Why those who are there are not wrong? When they fail, they blame imam, blame that and that.
The fact remains that there are only so many checks imams can make. This mosque has recently started registering its marriages with the council. But as long as there is no legal requirement for others to do the same, women such as B will continue to suffer a similar fate.
Imam, do you think that the government should make all mosques register with the council?
Should be. And I think it is better.
Although the government says its policy is to prevent the formation of polygamous households, clearly whatever actions it is taking are not working. I met with Baroness Wasi, who believes the government is failing to address this issue.
That the government is turning a blind eye to the issue of polygamy and that it does exist. The reason why I became involved in this debate is because I received numerous letters and emails and calls from women whose husband had taken a second or a third wife without their knowledge, the trauma and the heartache that causes. This creates a lot of social breakdown.
But why and how do they keep getting away with this in this country?
The problem that we have is that certain religious marriages in this country are not recognised under the law, which means that people can engage in multiple marriage-like ceremonies and continue to live with a number of spouses and fall outside the law of the United Kingdom.
National statistics show that of all mosques registered for worship in England and Wales, less than 20% are registered for marriage. In contrast to 100% of Anglican parish churches, 90% of Catholic churches, and nearly 80% of Sikh temples.
The government is somehow hiding behind this veil of cultural sensitivity and using that as a reason not to act.
I have seen that when hidden from the eyes of the law, polygamy can have damaging consequences for the women and the children involved. But when following the strict guidelines laid down by the Quran, I have discovered that many British Muslims believe that it can work very well. I went to Luton and met with Nadim, Zaya and Nadim, who share views typical of many men we have spoken to in the Muslim community.
In societies which allow or which do not look down upon polygamy, there are happy relationships between husband and his 2, 3, 4 wives.
Do you think that polygamy is becoming more acceptable in the UK?
I believe it is becoming more acceptable amongst the Muslim population, yes.
I know quite a few, I know a few relatives, a number of friends who have polygamous marriages.
What about the children? Do you take them into consideration?
In some of the relationships of my our family relations, the children are getting on very, very nicely.
If you look at non-Muslim or Western civilized society, people have more than one relationship and they're not married to any one of them. Who's bearing the burden of that? Children.
The guys clearly believe that polygamy can be beneficial if practiced properly. But I wanted to meet a polygamous family to see this for myself. I'm going to meet Yusuf, who lives in London with his 2 wives. He married both of them in an unregistered ceremony in the UK, and he also has a 3rd wife in Turkey. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Please come in, let's go in now.
How do you feel having multiple wives, in this country and getting away with it? How do you feel about it?
Well, I feel the lawmaker should recognize a social fact. In this country, there are men who have more than one wife. Now, these